Before anything else, there is one thing I need you to agree to. It's simple, and it's the whole reason this works. For the next 7 nights, you tell no one what you're doing here. Not your closest friend. Not the person beside you. No one. What happens over these 7 nights belongs to you, and to you alone. This isn't superstition. There's an old and quiet reason for it, and you'll come to understand it fully on the very first night. For now, just make the agreement, silently, with yourself, a closed mouth. An open mind, and a private practice that no one else needs to know about. Understand what these 7 nights are and what they are not. They are not a lecture to be memorized. You won't be tested. You don't have to remember a single word by morning. This is a practice, something you do, quietly, a few minutes each night, in the soft space right before sleep. Each night builds on the one before it, gently, like laying one smooth stone on top of another, and the whole structure rests on that single foundation stone we're setting right now, your silence. So let the day end, and let's set it in place. So let the day end now. There's nothing left to fix tonight, nothing left to carry. Let your body grow heavy. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears, and let your breathing slow, all on its own. Breathe in, slowly, all the way down, and out. Slower still. Let the whole day leave you on that breath. And again, in and out. Good. You're here. The door is closed. No one else is listening. Let's begin tonight's work. Night 1. The closed mouth tonight. The foundation. And the reason for our pact. There is a quiet danger that surrounds nearly every dream a person dares to hold. It doesn't come from enemies. It comes from the people closest to us, from friends and family, the ones who love us most. Napoleon Hill noticed this across a lifetime of study, and it troubled him. He found that well-meaning people, without ever intending harm, quietly handicap us. They do it with their opinions, with a raised eyebrow, with a little joke at our expense that's only meant to be funny.
Before we dive in, I want to step out of the content for a moment and just talk to you the way I'd talk to a friend over coffee. Thank you for being here. Whether this is your very first video or you've been walking this road with me for a long time now, I'm honestly so happy you came. There's a whole world out there fighting for your attention, and you chose to spend a little of yours right here. That's not small to me. We're building something special together, you and I'm grateful for every bit of it. By the way, some of you keep asking how to put this into practice, and that's really all the new Money Magnet protocol is. It's linked below if you're curious. I'll walk you step by step to attract your first $100 so that you can see that the law actually works. Whatever you do then with it is up to you. You can build generational wealth or just attract a little more so that you unlock more freedom in your life. Grab it now. It is the second link in the description.
And he found that thousands of people carry a sense of smallness with them all through life, simply because someone they trusted, someone who meant no harm at all, poured a little cold water on their confidence at the wrong moment. Think of how it happens. You feel a spark of something, a hope, an idea, a quiet sense that maybe you could become more than you are, and in your excitement you want to share it, so you tell someone, and they don't attack it. They just pause. They tilt their head. They say, "Are you sure? That sounds hard." Or, "Well, be careful." Or worse, they laugh kindly, gently, as though your dream were a charming and slightly foolish thing. And in that single moment, something delicate inside you deflates. The spark that had been climbing dims. You didn't lose an argument, you lost a little belief, and often that's all it takes. The dream never quite recovers the height it had reached before you spoke it aloud. This is why the pact matters, and why we make it every single night. Because the danger is real, and it's constant, and it wears the face of people who love you. This is why the wise, he said, keep their plans quiet, not out of shame, out of protection. A young dream is a fragile thing. It is like a seed just barely sprouted, its first pale shoot pushing up through the soil. And the moment you dig it up to show it to someone, to ask, "What do you think? Is this foolish? Do you believe I can do it?" you expose those tender roots to the air. Sometimes the seed survives it. Often it doesn't. The doubt in another person's eyes, even a flicker of it, can wither something that had only just begun to grow. There is a second reason, too, and it is more practical. Hill pointed out that everyone you meet is, in their own way, reaching for something just as you are. And when you speak your plans too freely, you can hand your best idea to someone who will simply act on it before you do. The talkers, he observed, tend to do little else but talk. While one person is describing in detail everything they intend to do, another has quietly gone and done it. Words spent too early are a kind of leak. The energy drains out through your open mouth, and there is less left to fuel the doing. So Hill gave a piece of advice worth carrying into sleep tonight and worth keeping for all 7 nights. Keep your mouth closed and your eyes and ears wide open. When you need to learn something to move forward, and you often will gather it quietly without announcing why you're asking. Genuine wisdom, he said, tends to move in modesty and in silence. The person who is sure of themselves feels no need to broadcast it. And he left one line that could hang over this entire practice if you let it. Tell the world what you intend to do, but first, show it. Deeds, not words. Let the results arrive first. Let them speak for you. There is enormous power in a quiet person who is steadily becoming something while saying nothing about it. People will notice the change before they ever hear the reason. And by then, it will already be real, and no one's doubt can touch it. There is one more thing Hill said about this, and it goes to the very root of why silence matters. He observed that opinions are the cheapest thing on earth. Everyone has a whole flock of them, ready to hand out, free of charge, to anyone who'll take them. And most people, he found, let those cheap opinions do their thinking for them. They let the neighbors, the gossip, the offhand remarks decide what they believe is possible. And here is the sharp edge of it. If you are swayed by the opinions of others when you decide what you want, then, he said, you will have no real desire of your own at all. It will have been talked out of you before it ever caught fire. This is the quiet tragedy he watched happen to person after person, a dream surrendered, not to any great obstacle, but simply to the casual doubt of someone who wasn't even paying attention. So the closed mouth is not secrecy for its own sake. It is how you keep your desire your own. How you keep it from being watered down, or laughed at, or quietly redirected by people who mean well and understand nothing of what you're reaching for. You have a mind of your own. Use it. Reach your own conclusions, and keep your own counsel while the thing is still young. So tonight, your only task is this. Somewhere in your mind, choose one thing, one desire, one change you'd like to see in your life. You don't have to name it out loud. In fact, you must not. Just hold it, quietly, in the private room of your own mind. And make the decision right now as you drift towards sleep. For these 7 nights, this is yours. A closed mouth, an open mind. A dream kept safe, growing in the dark, where no one can reach in and disturb its roots. Let it rest there now, unspoken and protected. And let yourself sink down towards sleep, carrying it gently with you. Night 2. The burning desire tonight. We take the quiet dream you chose, and we begin to give it heat. Hill discovered, across all his years of study, that a faint wish never built anything. Nearly everyone wishes for a better life. Wishing is common as air, and just as weightless. But the people who actually changed their circumstances did something different. They took that ordinary wish and let it grow steadily, privately, into a burning desire, something closer to an obsession, a goal held so clearly and wanted so deeply that it quietly began to shape everything they did. Let me tell you about a young man named Barnes, and notice, as I do, how his whole story is a story of silence and patience. Barnes decided long ago that he would go into business with the great inventor Thomas Edison, not work for him, become his partner, his equal. Now Barnes had almost nothing, no money, no schooling, no connection to open a door. He arrived looking more like a wandering tramp than a future partner. And yet he walked in and declared his intention. But here is the part that matters for tonight. He did not get what he wanted right away. He was given only the humblest work, sweeping floors. And he took it, gladly, quietly, because it placed him near the thing he wanted. Then he waited, months, and then years. 5 long years passed, with no sign, no promise, not one ray of hope. Anyone else would have grown discouraged and drifted away to something easier. But inside all that time, Barnes was doing one quiet, invisible thing. He was feeding his desire, keeping it alive, refusing day after day to let it cool. He said nothing, and he simply held on and stayed ready. And in the end, the chance came exactly as he had pictured it, all those silent years before. He became Edison's partner and made himself a fortune. But the deeper lesson Hill drew from it was this: a single, clear, burning desire, held without wavering, even through years of silence, can be turned into reality. The silence was not a delay. The silence was part of the power. Hill saw the same fire in every person who ever built anything. He noticed that these people did not merely wish, and they did not merely hope. They wanted their aim so intensely that it became, in his words, close to an obsession, a want so complete that it seemed to give them almost superhuman power to reach it. He put it in a way that stays with you. Think of a person locked in a burning building, with every door and window sealed. That person, he said, will find the strength to break down a door they could never budge on an ordinary day because their desire to be free has become absolute. That is the intensity he was pointing at, not a polite preference, a burning, whole-bodied wanting. And the difference between the people who reached their dreams and the thousands who didn't, he concluded, was rarely talent or luck or advantage. It was simply this: the ones who arrived wanted it with more depth and more intensity than the ones who didn't. So tonight, we make your desire definite, not vague. Not, "I'd like things to be better." Hill was firm on this. The mind cannot burn for a fog. It needs a precise thing to hold. So, in the privacy of your own mind, sharpen it. What exactly do you want? Name the specific thing. Picture it with edges, how it looks, where you are, how it feels to have it. And then decide, quietly, what you are willing to give in return. Because nothing worth having, Hill said, ever comes for nothing. There is always an exchange. Now, as you lie here on the edge of sleep, do the one thing that matters most. See yourself already in possession of it, not hoping for it, not reaching, already there. Already true. Feel what it feels like to have it, the ease, the quiet satisfaction, the certainty. Let that feeling spread through you, warm and settled, as your body grows heavier. Don't rush this part. Let the picture become real. If your desire is a place, put yourself inside it. See the light in the room. Feel the ground under you. If it's an achievement, feel the quiet pride of having done it. If it's a change in yourself, feel how you carry your body differently, how you speak, how you move through your day as this new version of you. The more real you make the picture, the more the deeper mind treats it as a memory of something that has already happened, rather than a wish for something that hasn't. And a mind that believes a thing has already happened begins, quietly, to make it so.
Before this video ends, make a decision. Keep wishing for money or start attracting it on purpose. Getting rich was never an accident. It's a mind trained to expect wealth. I've made the first step free for you. One page that reprograms your money mind. Go to the second-life.com, download your free Get Rich auto-suggestion sheet, and begin tonight. Don't let this be one more video you watched and forgot. Links in the description.
This is the moment the deeper mind is listening most closely. So hand it this picture gently and let it glow there. Your desire, sharpened to a point and held in warm silence. Tell no one. Just carry it down into sleep, burning quietly, and let it grow through the night. Night 3, the written pledge tonight. We make the practice real with your own hand. This is the heart of the 7 nights. Everything so far has lived in your mind. Tonight it moves onto paper privately, secretly, for your eyes only. Hill taught a method for this, drawn straight from the way the most successful people he studied programmed their own minds. It is simple. It is almost too simple to believe. And it works precisely because it's repeated, quietly, night after night. Here is what to do tonight, or first thing tomorrow, whenever you next have a quiet moment and a sheet of paper. Write out in your own handwriting a clear and simple statement of what you intend to become or to have. Write the specific thing. Write if it fits a time by which you intend to have it. Write what you intend to give in return. And write it in the present as though it were already certain, not I hope to, but I am becoming, I will have. This is coming to me. Then sign your name to it the way you'd sign a solemn promise. Because that is exactly what it is, a promise, from you to you. And then comes the ritual that ties all 7 nights together. You read that statement to yourself twice each day. Once in the morning, just after you wake, while the mind is still soft and open. And once at night, last thing, just before sleep, right about now. Read it quietly. You can even whisper it, so low that only you can hear. And as you read it, don't just move your lips over the words. See it. Feel it. Picture yourself, 1 year ahead, or 3, or 5, already living inside the thing you've written. Already there. Hill was clear that the deeper mind responds to feeling far more than to words. A flat, cold reading does little. But a statement read with real feeling, with quiet faith, with the warmth of already having it that sinks in and takes hold and slowly becomes a habit of thought. He compared a habit to a groove worn into a record and the mind to the needle that follows it. Read your pledge often enough, with feeling enough, and you wear a groove. And the mind begins, on its own, to follow that groove toward the thing you've written. Think about how that groove forms. The first time the needle passes, it barely leaves a mark. But pass it over the same line, again and again, night after night, and the groove deepens until the needle can hardly help but fall into it. That is exactly what you are doing with your pledge. The first reading changes little that you can feel. But by the 3rd night, and the 5th, and the 7th, you are wearing a channel into your own mind, a channel that runs straight toward the thing you want. And once that channel is deep enough, your thoughts begin to run there on their own, without effort, even in the moments when you're not trying. That is the whole quiet mechanism of it, not magic. Repetition, with feeling in the dark. Hill believed there was almost no limit to what this could do when desire and faith were poured into it together. He told once of his own son, born without the normal means to hear, and of how he and the boy's mother refused to accept it, and instead planted in the child over and over the steady belief that he would hear and speak and live a full life. They fed that belief into the boy's mind so persistently, with such conviction, that something in nature seemed to answer it, and the child came to hear and speak against every expectation. Hill said he would not pretend to understand how such a thing works, but he came away certain of one plain principle, that there is very little a person cannot move when a burning desire is backed by an enduring faith, and repeated until the deeper mind simply accepts it as true. And these qualities, he said, are free, available to anyone, available to you. This is why the page is yours alone. You will never show it to anyone. You will keep it somewhere private, a drawer, a book, a folded square in your wallet. Not because it's magic paper, but because it is a conversation between you and the deepest part of yourself, and that conversation stays sacred and quiet and undisturbed. The moment you show it to someone, you invite their doubt into a room that was meant to hold only your faith. So tonight, simply hold the intention of it. If you can't write it yet, compose it in your mind now, word by word, as though drafting the promise you'll set down on paper. What does it say? Hear yourself reading it. Sign it in your imagination, and feel the weight of that small, private commitment. And then let it go, and rest. The pledge is made. It's yours. Tell no one, and let it carry you down gently into sleep. Night 4, the deeper mind at work tonight. You learn what happens after you fall asleep, and why these nights, specifically, are when the real work gets done. Hill believed the greatest and least understood power a person carries is the subconscious mind. He pictured it as tireless, never sleeping, never resting, working quietly beneath everything else, day and night. During the busy day, it hums along under the noise, mostly unnoticed. But at night, when the loud thinking mind finally lets go, the deeper mind keeps working, sorting, arranging, solving, building. It does not stop just because you have stopped. In fact, some of its finest work happens precisely when the noisy upper mind grows quiet and steps out of the way, which is to say, precisely now. You've felt this before, even if you never named it. Have you ever gone to sleep tangled in a problem you couldn't solve, turning it over and over, getting nowhere, and then woken in the morning to find the answer simply there, clear and whole, as though someone had left it on your doorstep in the night? That is the deeper mind. You handed it the problem as you fell asleep. And while you rested, it worked patiently, without you, and set the answer where you'd find it. This is the secret engine underneath all 7 nights. Everything you've done so far, choosing the desire, sharpening it, writing the pledge, has been a way of handing something precise down to this deeper builder. And what it builds depends entirely on what you feed it. Feed it worry and doubt, night after night, and it faithfully builds more of that. Feed it a clear, warm picture of the thing you want, night after night, and it builds toward that instead. It has no preference. It simply takes what you hand it and gets to work. Hill described the arrangement between the two minds in a way worth carrying into sleep. The conscious, thinking mind, he said, stands guard during your waking hours, a sentinel at the gate, examining everything that tries to reach the deeper mind and deciding what to let through and what to turn away. This is a wise design. It means no thought, no suggestion, no opinion from anyone can reach the deeper part of you without your consent. Others can say what they like, but their words only take root if you pass them through the gate yourself. This is the deepest reason our pact protects you. When you keep silent, you keep the gate quiet. You aren't standing there all day, letting other people's doubts file past the sentinel and down into the soil where your dream is trying to grow. He pictured that deeper mind as a rich, fertile garden. And a garden left to itself does not stay empty, it fills with weeds. If you do not deliberately plant what you want to grow there, the weeds will grow anyway, all on their own, from whatever seeds happen to blow in. Most people never plant a thing on purpose. They let the garden fill with whatever the day scatters, the worries, the fears, the careless remarks, and then wonder why their inner life feels overgrown and tangled. Your nightly practice is simply the deliberate planting, choosing the seed, pressing it into the soil on purpose, and then letting the faithful gardener within tend it while you sleep. So tonight, your practice is the gentlest yet. You don't have to do anything but hand it over and let go. Bring the picture of your desire to mind one more time, the specific thing seen as already yours. And this time, don't hold it tightly. Don't grip it. Simply set it down softly before the deeper part of your mind, the way you'd leave a note for a trusted friend who works the night shift while you sleep. Set it down and release it completely. And here is the important part. Hand it over warmly, not anxiously. The deeper mind speaks the language of feeling. If you pass it your desire clenched in worry, it hears the worry. So pass it over the other way with calm, with quiet expectancy, as though the thing were already on its way to you. Which, Hill believed, it always is, once the order has truly been given and released. Notice the difference between the two.
Now, if you're ready to stop learning and start seeing evidence, I built something for you. It's called the 14-Day Money Magnet Protocol. 14 days, one simple ritual a day, and the goal is concrete. Attract your first $100 out of nowhere. And here's my promise. If it doesn't happen, you get your money back. Because $100 isn't the point, it's the proof the law is working for you. Start it at the second-life.com/moneymagnet. Second link in the description.
When you hand something over anxiously, you're really saying to the deeper mind, I don't think this will come. And it hears that and builds accordingly. But when you hand it over calmly, the way you'd set a letter in the mailbox and simply walk away, trusting it will arrive, you're saying, this is done. It's on its way. That quiet confidence is itself part of the instruction. The releasing is not giving up. The releasing is trust. It's the difference between a hand that grips a thing tightly, afraid to lose it, and a hand that opens and lets it go, knowing it will return. Tonight, practice the open hand. There is nothing more for you to do now. You've placed the order, you've let it go. Now the night shift takes over. So let yourself sink fully into rest, trusting that even as you sleep, something faithful in you is quietly at work, building in the dark. Tell no one. Just rest and let it work. Night 5, faith over fear tonight. We guard what you've planted from the one thing that could spoil it from the inside. You've chosen your desire, sharpened it, written it, and handed it to the deeper mind. But there is a quiet thief that can undo all of it, and it doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. It is fear. And Hill spent a great deal of his life studying exactly how it works and how to be free of it. He said something worth holding on to tonight, that faith and fear cannot occupy the same mind at the same moment. One or the other rules. They cannot share the space. Where there is calm, settled trust, fear simply has nowhere to stand, no floor beneath its feet. And where fear takes hold, faith goes quiet. So the whole task is not to fight the fear directly, wrestling it in the dark. It is simply to fill the space with something else until there is no room left for it. Hill named the fears precisely because he believed a thing named is a thing half conquered. He found 6 great fears that visit nearly every human heart. The fear of poverty, the fear of criticism of what others might think or say, the fear of ill health, the fear of losing someone's love, the fear of growing old, and the fear of death. He called them, in one of his books, the 6 ghosts of fear. And ghosts is exactly the right word because none of them are solid. They have no body. They live only in the mind, and they can only frighten you from the inside. They cannot touch you unless you let them in and feed them. And because they are only ghosts, they melt before a single firm decision. You quiet the fear of poverty by deciding simply to be at peace with what you honestly build and to refuse to worry over it. You quiet the fear of criticism by deciding, once and for all, that you will not trouble yourself over what others think or say, including, gently, the doubts of the very people you've agreed to tell nothing. You quiet the fear of aging by deciding to greet it as the arrival of wisdom, not loss. And you quiet each of the rest the same way by turning to face it, deciding calmly how you'll hold it, and then setting it down. Faced with a firm, quiet decision, a ghost has nothing left to stand on, and it fades. There is a reason Hill treated fear so seriously, and not as some minor mood. He believed the deeper mind makes no distinction between a thought driven by fear and a thought driven by faith. It acts on both, with equal, faithful power. Hand it a picture soaked in fear, night after night, and it will work just as hard to build that as it would to build a picture soaked in hope. This, he said, is the quiet reason so many people seem cursed with bad luck they have, without ever meaning to, fed their deeper mind a steady diet of the very things they dreaded, until it dutifully built them. The mind was only doing its job. It was simply given the wrong orders. So fear is not just unpleasant. Left to run in the mind at night, it is an instruction and a powerful one, which is exactly why you must not let it be the last thing you hand over before sleep. But the same law that makes fear dangerous makes faith powerful. If a fearful thought becomes real, then a faithful one becomes real too, by the very same mechanism. So the work is never to fight the fear head on, in the dark, where it's strongest. The work is simply to reach for the better thought and let it fill the space until the fear has nowhere left to sit. You are not wrestling a monster tonight. You are just quietly turning toward the light and letting the dark take care of itself. This is also, quietly, the deepest reason for our pact of silence. When you keep your dream to yourself, you keep it safe not only from other people's doubt, but from the way their doubt can awaken your own. Every time someone raises an eyebrow at a dream, they plant a small seed of fear in the dreamer. By telling no one, you starve those seeds before they're ever sown. You keep the room of your mind filled with your own faith, undisturbed, and there is simply no room left for the ghosts. So tonight, practice the filling. Bring your desire to mind once more, and instead of any worry about whether it will come, let a quiet certainty spread through you, the simple, warm trust that it is already on its way. You don't have to force it. You only have to lean gently toward faith and let it crowd the fear out. Feel the calm of it. Feel how, in that calm, there's no space for anything afraid. Let that quiet certainty hold you now and carry you down into sleep. Tell no one. Just trust and rest. Night 6 show it, don't say it tonight. The inner work turns quietly outward into action, still unspoken, for 5 nights. Nearly everything has happened inside your mind, and that inner work is the foundation of all the rest. Hill never wavered on that, but he was equally firm that thought alone finishes nothing. A desire, a picture, a written pledge, these light the fire. But then, at some point, a person has to move. He put it plainly. Deeds, not words, are what count most. And notice how perfectly that fits our pact. The whole instruction has been to show it, not say it. Tonight, we lean fully into the showing. Hill drew a memorable line between poverty and riches, and it's worth hearing as you drift. Poverty, he said, needs no plan and no invitation. It arrives on its own, bold and uninvited, and simply moves in. But riches, and by riches he meant any worthy thing you're reaching for, are shy and quiet and timid. They have to be attracted deliberately through a definite plan and steady effort. They don't stumble into a life by accident. They're drawn there on purpose by someone who knows what they want and quietly moves toward it, day after day, while the drifters stand around talking. And there is a quality that carries that quiet action across the long distance to the goal, and Hill prized it above almost everything. He called it persistence, the plain, unglamorous willingness to keep going when the going gets hard and when quitting would be so much easier. He said it's to a person's character what carbon is to steel, not the flashy part, but the thing that gives everything else its strength. Most people, he found, are good starters, but poor finishers. They begin with enthusiasm and give up at the first real sign of resistance. But the person who simply refuses to quit discovers something remarkable, that failure eventually grows tired and gives up first. Failure, he said, cannot cope with persistence. It can knock a persistent person down again and again, but it cannot make them stay down. And sooner or later, worn out by that steadiness, it withdraws. So the small step you take tomorrow is not really about tomorrow. It's about becoming the kind of person who takes the step, and then the next one, and then the one after that, quietly, without applause, without announcement. Long after the people who only talked have wandered off to talk about something else. That is how the quiet ones win. Not in a single dramatic move, but in the patient accumulation of small, silent steps that no one saw them take. That's the contrast at the heart of tonight. Most people talk about what they'll do. A rare few quietly go and do it. And it's that small, unglamorous difference, the willingness to take one real step and then another, that separates the ones who arrive from the ones who only ever describe the journey. The talkers spend their energy through their mouths. The doers save it and spend it through their hands and let the results announce themselves. And there's a particular quality that turns a plan into a step, and Hill studied it closely. He examined thousands of people who had failed and found that near the very top of the causes of failure sat one plain thing: the lack of decision. Its twin brother, he said, is procrastination, the habit of waiting for the time to be right. And he was blunt about it. The time will never be just right. Not ever. If you wait for perfect conditions, perfect confidence, perfect certainty, you will wait your whole life in the same spot. Start where you stand, he said, with whatever tools you have, and better tools will appear as you move. He found that the successful people all shared one habit. They reached decisions quickly and changed them slowly. And the ones who failed did the reverse.
Before we go deeper, understand this. Napoleon Hill said no desire turns into money until it's repeatedly impressed on the subconscious mind. That repetition has a name: auto-suggestion. I've taken the exact daily script the old masters used and put it on a single page for you, completely free. It's called the auto-suggestion sheet. Grab it and follow along for the rest of this video. The link is waiting in the description.
They decided slowly, if at all, and then reversed themselves at the first breath of doubt. So tonight is a night of deciding, not just dreaming, and not just planning, deciding, choosing your next step, and then standing by that choice, even after the light goes out and the doubts come whispering, as they always do near sleep. So tonight, your practice reaches into tomorrow. As you lie here, choose one small, concrete step, something real you can do in the next day or two that moves you even an inch toward the thing you've written down, not the whole journey. Just the next step, something you can actually do. Picture yourself doing it, quietly, without fanfare, without telling a soul why. See it done, and commit as you drift to letting that step and the ones after it do your talking for you. You won't announce it. You won't seek anyone's approval or opinion first. You'll simply do the thing and let the change it creates be the only thing anyone eventually notices. People will see the results long before they ever hear a word from you. And by the time they do notice, it will already be real, and too far along for anyone's doubt to shake. This is how the quiet ones win, not by promising, by becoming. One small, silent step at a time. So hold that next step in your mind now, clearly, already half done, and then release it, and rest knowing that tomorrow you move. Tell no one. Just do it, and let yourself sink down now into sleep. Night 7. Keep the results for yourself tonight. The 7th night, we close the pact, and I tell you, at last, the fullest reason for the silence. You've come through all of it. You chose a desire and kept it quiet. You gave it heat until it burned. You wrote your private pledge and read it, night and morning. You handed it to the deeper mind and let it build in the dark. You guarded it against fear by filling your mind with faith, and you took it quietly into action, letting deeds speak where words would only have leaked. 7 nights, all of it yours, all of it unspoken. Sit with that for a moment on this last night. 7 nights ago, you made a small private agreement with yourself to choose one thing and to tell no one. It seemed like a simple instruction, but look at what it set in motion. Night by night, in the quiet before sleep, you've been doing the exact inner work that Hill spent 25 years watching in the lives of the most successful people he could find. Not in a seminar, not for an audience, just you, in the dark, a few minutes a night, saying nothing to anyone. That's how nearly every real change in a person's life actually happens. Not loudly, not all at once, but quietly, privately, in small, repeated acts that no one else ever sees. And now, perhaps over these days, you've begun to notice something. A small shift, an idea that arrived out of nowhere, a door that opened a crack, a change in how you carry yourself or how others respond to you that you can't quite explain. Whatever it is, keep it, hold it close. Because here is the last and deepest reason for our pact, and it's the one written across the very front of this. Keep the extraordinary results for yourself. It isn't superstition, and it never was. It's this. An intention kept private stays potent. The moment you announce a change, the moment you say, look what's happening to me, look what I've been doing, you spend it. You trade something real and still growing for a few seconds of another person's attention or approval, or, just as often, their quiet skepticism. And skepticism, even a flicker of it, even from someone who loves you, can reach into that tender, growing thing and cool it. Why risk it? Why hand anyone the power to shrink what you've so carefully grown? There's a quieter dignity in it, too. The results that stay yours are results no one can argue with, or take credit for, or talk you out of. They're simply true. They belong to the private work you did, in the dark, for 7 nights, when no one was watching. That's a kind of wealth that can't be spent by talking. And the person who learns to keep it, to let their life change quietly, and to say nothing becomes someone whose confidence needs no audience at all. That's the real prize. Not just the thing you wanted. The self-command of a person who no longer needs anyone else to believe in their dream for it to be real. And notice what you've actually been building over these 7 nights, because it's larger than any single goal. You've been practicing the exact habits that Hill found in every person who ever rose from nothing. The habit of choosing a definite aim instead of drifting. The habit of holding it with real desire instead of a faint wish. The habit of feeding your own mind on purpose instead of letting the world feed it for you. The habit of guarding your faith against fear. The habit of deciding and then acting instead of endlessly waiting for the perfect moment. And the habit of letting your deeds speak while your mouth stays closed. Whatever specific thing you chose on the first night, these habits will outlast it, and they will serve you quietly for the rest of your life on every dream that comes after this one. You didn't just work toward a goal these 7 nights. You became a different kind of person while you slept. So let the 7 nights settle into you now. A closed mouth, a burning desire, a written pledge, the deeper mind, faithfully building, faith crowding out every fear, quiet action, speaking for itself, and results that stay yours. You don't have to remember any of it consciously. It's already been handed to the part of you that keeps working while you sleep. And that part of you will go on with the work tonight and tomorrow and in all the quiet days ahead patiently, in the dark, asking nothing. Whatever begins to change from here is yours to notice and yours to keep. Tell no one. Simply live it and let the results speak in their own time. So let your breathing slow now, all the way down. Let the last of the words dissolve into quiet. And let yourself drift all the way down into deep and easy sleep. You've done the work. It's yours now. Rest well, and good night. That's the work for tonight. There's nothing more to do now. Nothing to hold. Nothing to carry. Let the words fade, and let your body grow heavier and softer and stiller. Whatever you planted tonight is already being tended quietly in the dark by the part of you that never sleeps. You can let it go completely now. It's in good hands, your own. Feel the weight of your body against the bed. Feel how completely it is being held. You don't have to hold yourself up, not now. Everything beneath you is doing the holding for you. So let go of the last of it, the day, the thoughts, the small worries that drifted in. Set them all down at the door. They'll keep until morning. They always do. Breathe in, slowly, and out. And again, in and out. With each breath now, you sink a little further, a little heavier, a little warmer. There's nowhere to be, nothing to solve, only rest, waiting for you, a little deeper down. Let yourself sink there now, all the way, into deep and easy sleep. Say nothing, keep it close, and rest. Good night.
Let me make you an offer the old teachers never could. For the price of lunch, I'll walk you through 14 days of the exact auto-suggestion ritual, a daily money decree, the identity work, all of it, to pull your first unexpected $100 into your life. And that 100 isn't the point. It's the proof these teachings actually work. If nothing shows up, you pay nothing. That's the 14-day money magnet protocol. Test this law on your own life. Go to the second link in the description.